Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Weeks.
I'm Jimmy Wong.
And we're talking about Avatar.
The Lust Airbender.
Not the blue ones.
Not the blue ones.
The blue arrow.
There are blue cards in the set.
There are?
No, yes. The arrow down Aang's face. Yes.
We're going to talk about all of the commanders that you need to know how to build them, how we'd build them anyway, and some cool cards that go in each one of them. And we're going to get started with one of the hottest legends in the set. Yes. Honestly, exceptionally powerful, been spoiled for a little bit. We're talking about Toph, the first Metalbender.
Yeah, Toph is a big fan favorite. I absolutely love Toph. This is 1 red, green, and a white for a 3/3 human warrior ally. And 2 big lines of text here. The first is non-token artifacts you control are lands in addition to their other types. However, they do not gain the ability to tap to add for mana. They are just lands. Mm-hmm. And then the second ability is at the beginning of your end step, Earthbend 2. Earthbend is a new mechanic from Avatar, and Toph is going to Earthbend. So it means target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with haste that's still a land. And you put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. When it dies or is exiled, return it to the battlefield tapped. So takes a land, in this case it could be a non-token artifact because of Toph's first ability, makes it a 0/0, puts some counters on it equal to the number of what you're Earthbending. And then it has this really cool returns to the battlefield ability, no matter how it goes away.
Yeah, exiled bouncing. Or goes to the graveyard, and it comes right back. Predictably, this card is busted. There's a lot of different ways to crack this wide open. The first trick that I think is pretty cool is stuff like Yavimaya and Urborg, which give all of your lands type. So Yavimaya makes them all forests, Urborg makes them all swamps. That makes your artifacts into forests or swamps, which means they now tap for mana. Yeah,
and you can actually play Urborg in any non-black deck because there is no black pip present on the card. Mm-hmm. So that means that, you can tap your lands for black. You probably would just use it for colorless or generic mana value costs in your cards, not colorless.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. There's also cards like Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which say lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. So this means that your artifacts, even though they don't gain the ability to tap for mana from Toph's first ability, they will be able to tap for mana.
Yeah. So that's the first way to turn your artifacts all into mana rocks. It seems pretty good. Mm-hmm. The second benefit from having all your artifacts be lands is they can't get swept up in giant sweepers like Ondu Inversion.
Destroy all non-land permanents.
Now this does kill Toph, of course, unless you somehow get Toph Metalbent. We'll talk about that in a second.
Or indestructible.
Or indestructible. But if it destroys all non-land permanents, that means you get to keep all of your artifacts and lose everything else. But your opponents, they lose everything but their lands.
Yeah, very powerful. Obviously, non-land permanence is put onto text for cards because they don't want you to blow up your opponent's lands, because that would suck. But this is one of the many ways in the game now to sort of get around that fact. And it's quite fun.
Yeah, you lose some stuff too.
But everyone else, not so great.
Yeah, but if they remove Toph in response, you lose all your stuff also.
Yes,
so you do have to be pretty
careful.
careful with these. Still, you probably want to play Hour of Revelation, which is another type of this effect, destroy all non-land permanents, but it costs 3 less if there are 10 or more non-land permanents on the battlefield. Seems very doable in Commander for this to be white, destroy everybody's stuff except for your artifacts.
Yeah.
And Devastating Mastery is a similar type of effect. You can cast it for 2 white to destroy all non-land permanents, which is extremely efficient for this kind of effect. If you cast it for its cheaper cost, you choose 2 non-land permanents, you choose a player, and they choose 2 of their non-land permanents to return to their hand. So you choose the player who's most behind, they get to save like their commander and something else, but everything still gets board wiped, and you keep all of your artifacts as long as Toph's in play.
Yeah, you usually don't see these board wipes anymore because you end up having a ton of artifacts or enchantments or planeswalkers even that just are really powerful and important. So people don't run them quite so much, but Toph gives you a good reason to.
Makes them one-sided.
Yeah, there is a weird card though that I did not know how this worked until Rachel explained it to me. But if you play this card in your deck, it goes infinite?
It goes infinite and you can't disrupt it. So it actually results in a draw. It's Cage Sun. So this is a 6-mana artifact. It says, as Cage Sun enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+1. And then, whenever a land's ability causes you to add 1 or more mana of the chosen color, add 1 additional mana of that color.
I don't get it. Explain it to me.
Well, if you have Toph in play, Cage Sun is a land in addition to being an artifact. So when you add mana with one of your lands, Cage Sun says, great, I'm going to add an additional mana. And then it says, wait, I'm a land and I just added mana. I'm going to add an additional mana. I'm going to add an additional mana. I'm going to add additional mana. And then this goes on and there's no place for you to respond.
Yeah, so it just creates infinite triggers on the stack.
Yep.
Because Cage Sun itself is a land with an ability. So because it's worded this way, I guess if they said whenever a land's ability, I don't know how they would have worded it differently to get around this.
This is the kind of thing that Commander really introduces is like, these two cards should have never met. And here they are, and you shouldn't put them in the same deck. So that's how that works.
It'll quench you. Okay, don't play Cage Sun in this deck. It will create an infinite insta-draw.
All right, so this is an artifact deck. It's definitely a loop-de-doop-de style deck. You're trying to sacrifice artifacts, bring them back because they are they're earth-bended, but they're metal. We get it. So you want artifacts that either sacrifice themselves or want to enter the battlefield or die. A very powerful one is this first one.
Jeez. This deck is probably not that fun to play against.
I don't think so. It's the Stasis Coffin. 3 mana for a legendary artifact. 2, tap, exile the Stasis Coffin. You gain protection from everything until your next turn.
Yeah, so this is meant to be used one time. It never gets played in Commander because it's not that great of an ability.
Yep.
But now it comes back to the battlefield tapped because it is a land. So you do get to use it pretty much. You use it, you go into your next turn, it comes back, it's untapped, you can use it again.
You can have protection from everything, including damage from creatures or burn spells.
Yeah, over and over again.
Yeah, forever, essentially.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of artifacts that do have this same kind of ability. So something like Boom Pile is a 4-mana artifact that says tap, flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy all non-land permanents. We already said that that's really good in this deck. You have a lot of land permanents. So you flip a coin. If you win the flip, it blows up everything except for your artifacts. And you get to keep your whole board. So you just keep a Boom Pile in play that you can activate over and over again until someone answers Toph.
Yeah, as long as Toph is there and you get to the end step where you get to Earthbend something with her ability, or you find a way to Earthbend before that, pretty good. But Toph notably has to be there because she has to make the artifacts into lands because you can't Earthbend onto something else.
Right.
Yeah. So the Stasis Coffin, there is like a small window during your turn when it comes back and it hasn't been Earthbent yet that you can do something to that player, but it's pretty funny.
Gonti's Aetherheart also has this very important exile clause. So Gonti's Aetherheart says, when Gonti's Aetherheart or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you get 2 energy, then pay 8 energy. God.
I don't know why they just didn't put a number here, but all right, it's okay.
They've learned this lesson. 8 energy and exile Gonti's Aetherheart. Take an extra turn after this one.
Yay!
Yay! So as long as you can keep having artifacts enter the battlefield, including Gonti's Aetherheart, if you keep Gonti's Aetherheart earthbended, it'll always come back and you can essentially put together an infinite turns loop.
Yeah, pretty scary. Don't love that.
Yikes!
But that's what this deck is pretty good at doing. And that's why it's also very hard to play against.
Yeah. There's one other cool one I wanted to mention was Survey McCann. This one also sacks itself.
Yeah, this one's great.
10, sacrifice this creature. It deals 3 damage to any target. Target player draws 3 cards, gain 3 life. This ability costs X less to cast, where X is the number of differently named lands you control.
Hey, all your artifacts are lands.
Incredible.
Yeah, so this should cost like 0 sometimes.
It totally could, and you can sacrifice it any turn that it's earthbended and just keep doing this over and over again.
Yeah, and even if you sacrifice it once when it's earthbend, it comes back and you don't want to earthbend it again, you could just do it on another player's turn because you can just play a really low mana cost for it. So even just getting 2 activations out of this is really powerful.
Really powerful. 6 damage, 6 cards, really good.
Yeah.
You also want artifacts that want to die, enter the battlefield and go to the graveyard, come back, that kind of thing. So luckily there aren't any artifacts that want to do that.
No, never in the history of Magic. Ichor Wellspring comes right to mind. When it enters the battlefield or is put into the graveyard, you draw a card. So this is a great, just like consistent engine. This is like the kind of card that really glues these types of decks together because you play it early, draw a card off it, and then once you get a Metalbender and recurring it over and over again with Toph, it gets really powerful. And then you can play really mean cards like Portal to Phyrexia, which when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures, often backbreaking. The other part of the ability is not so hot. By that point, you're just winning by just playing Portal to Phyrexia one time. But you get to put creatures on the battlefield from graveyards at the beginning of your upkeep.
In case you weren't winning.
Yeah, already by having this enter twice.
Yeah, and if your opponents catch up, don't worry. You're just going to Metalbend Portal to Phyrexia and sacrifice it to a Zurin Orb and bring it right back.
Disgusting.
One of the gnarliest things you can do is Grinding Station.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 2-mana artifact.
Broke Grinding Station.
Oh, no. It's a 2-mana artifact. It says tap, sacrifice an artifact. Target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into their graveyard. Whenever an artifact comes into play, you may untap Grinding Station. Obviously, this is good because it's a sack outlet, but this is also something that is going to untap a lot of times. So if you have a Yavimaya in play, it also adds mana and is going to untap repeatedly. So this can be a mana engine. This can be a graveyard mill engine. This is a sack outlet. It is terrifying with Toph on the battlefield.
Yeah, Grinding Station is notably one of the 1,000 things makes this go infinite. Goblin Welder is really good in this deck as well because you may have artifacts like that Survey Mechan we talked about that end in the graveyard and didn't get that Earthbend ability again, so you can just sort of bring them back, keep going over and over again. Yeah,
this deck leans really, really heavily on Toph, so having alternate ways to get these artifacts to enter and leave the battlefield, like Goblin Welder, are going to be really important.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have to be good at protecting Toph. But you can actually have Toph protect herself as long as you can make Toph an artifact.
There you go. Very flavorful. Not really.
Not really. Kind of gross.
Weird.
So Toph turns herself into metal with something like a liquid metal torque, a liquid metal coating, and then she's now a creature, an artifact, and a land, which means that you can have her metal bend herself.
Yeah.
So when she dies or is exiled, she comes back to the battlefield.
Yeah,
I think that works.
Yeah, no, because she sees herself as a land. Because
Yeah.
now she's an artifact, and she doesn't say other artifacts control. It's just Toph. It's just non-token artifacts.
They didn't plan around her becoming a metal lady.
Or maybe they just didn't care and thought, hey, you know what? If you can make it happen, Mycosynth Lattice, there's not too many cards that can do it, but when you do it, it's pretty funny.
It's going to be good, and your opponents have to get Toph off the battlefield, so you need to have a lot of ways to protect her.
Yeah, and then because you're protecting her, you're going to want to Earthbend more. There's a lot of cards in the set itself that we won't mention here that can Earthbend. We'll mention a couple, but
yeah, we've got a couple.
But there's just a bunch of ways to double up your commander's abilities. So Peter Parker's camera makes total sense in this situation. I don't know. I don't know how it got to this plane.
Yeah, well, it's good.
Comes in with 3 film counters for 1 mana. Then you can pay 2 to tap it, remove a film counter, and copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy.
So you can copy the Earthbending ability, but it's also an artifact that you could sacrifice and bring back to the battlefield with even more film counters on it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
A Roaming Throne, of course, is always good in decks like this. Annie Joins Up is going to do the same thing, is going to double up those Earthbending triggers. But if Toph doesn't help you Earthbend enough, why not get Toph or Toph?
Yeah, before she was the Metalbender, she was just a regular Earthbending Master. So this is 3 in the green for a 2/4. It has a landfall. Whenever you land control enters, you get an experience counter. And then whenever you attack, you Earthbend X, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Any creature attacking, by the way, does this, and you get to Earthbend X.
Yeah, this is from one of the alternate products. This is not one of the ones in standard. Toph Hard-Headed Teacher is in the main set. She is 2 red and a green. When she enters, you may discard a card. If you do, return target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. Sure. But whenever you cast a spell, Earthbend 1.
Yeah.
That is the big part here. If you cast a lesson, you get additional value. But this just helps you make sure all of your artifacts are Earthbended on 1 turn.
Yeah, both those cards are very powerful.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
That's Toph. This is a really good deck. This is a really scary deck. So if you want to play it, be ready for your opponents to be removing your commander. They have to.
Yeah, especially because you probably will play some of the combo pieces beforehand, and it's pretty rough. But maybe you want to pick up this deck and buy it because it seems right up your alley. There's also ways to build it that aren't so crazy and scary. Make sure you go to cardkingdom.com/command to do so. You can pick up all of these sweet new Avatar The Last Airbender cards. This set is actually one that I'm very excited for. I know there's a lot of controversy around UB and all that, but this is one that just makes me really happy on the inside. So I'm very glad to be able to go to a place like cardkingdom.com/command, paste in my entire deck list into their advanced deck builder, build the entire deck all at once, and then choose the different format or the foiling. There's a lot of alt versions of the cards as well, so you can sort of really make your deck themed out however which way you like. And of course, you can also just buy regular Magic product there as well. Sealed, singles, you name it, cardkingdom.com/command. Support the show, get all the cards in one convenient package to your doorstep, so you're just ready to go and ready to Earthbend out the gate, or Metalbend.
Or Metalbend the gate. Protect your gate at ultrapro.com/command.
Nice.
Ultrapro has some of the highest quality magic accessories in the business. They've got sleeves and deck boxes, playmats, binders. It's everything that you need to keep your collection safe and organized. I'm huge about having a matching set of things for a deck. So I want the sleeves to match the deck box, to match the flavor of the deck. And I love that Ultrapro has big sets of different kinds of their products to make sure that you can really customize your deck experience. So check out their Mana 8 line if you want something sort of clean and crisp. Check out their Apex art sleeves. If you haven't tried Apex sleeves yet, they're awesome.
Good.
Shuffle feel rules. And you can pick them up while supporting the show if you go over to ultrapro.com/command.
All right, and the last way to support the show, directly at patreon.com/commandzone. We love our patrons. We have a exclusive Discord for everyone on Patreon so that you can talk to Rachel, myself, Josh on the Discord, ask us questions. But more importantly, we have an amazing community there that loves to engage with all sorts of different topics. We'll talk about the precons when they come out and sort of what people are doing in their own worlds to upgrade them. And we just have a great general chat. There's just lots of chatter going on there. We love the Discord. And we also have just tons of perks for patrons as well. You can check all of that out at patreon.com/commandzone. See what suits your fancy. See what makes you happy. You also get access to game nights and extra turns a day early. Lots more fun stuff. And we shout out one lucky patron every single episode. And this one is dedicated to Caleb John.
Caleb?
John?
You rock.
Double first names. I love them.
Love them.
Okay.
All right, let's get back into it. The next commander we're going to talk about is one I play on the upcoming episode of Game Night.
Spoiler alert. It's the Cabbage Merchant.
My cabbages.
Of course, that's the flavor text as well. I'm glad they could fit it on here.
Oh my god. So this is a mono-colored commander. It's 2 and a green for a legendary creature, Human Citizen. It says whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, create a food token. That's going to be a lot of food.
Oh, yeah.
But whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, sacrifice a food token.
Oh, no. My
see.
cabbages.
Then tap 2 untapped foods you control, add 1 mana of any color. So you can generate a lot of food. You're going to sacrifice a lot of food.
Yeah, whenever a creature. So if you get hit with a bunch of creatures, that's a lot of food gone.
Yeah, he's probably not the most popular or powerful commander that came out in this set, but he's already popular and very fun to play. But he will make a ton of food. I mean, this thing triggers every time a Mystic Remora triggers, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be making 3 or 4 foods in a turn rotation pretty realistically.
No one is being like, I'm not going to cast a non-creature so you don't make a food.
No, they're not playing around the Cabbage Merchant.
Yeah, because they can also just hit you to do stuff, and it's not super powerful, but it will make a ton of food.
Yeah. So you're going to have a lot of food. Your opponents are going to want you to sacrifice them. You should make sure that you're benefiting even when your food is getting sacrificed. So playing stuff like Heaped Harvest, which is fun. It's a food. When it enters, you go find a land. And when you sacrifice it, you go find a land onto the battlefield. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, and it counts as a food. So it's not the food. It's not the cabbages, but it's just a food that you get to sacrifice.
Yeah, and benefit.
One of the most powerful cards in this deck is Nuka-Cola Vending Machine.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 3-mana artifact. You can pay 1 to tap to make a food token. But it also says whenever you sacrifice a food, create a tapped treasure token. So now all of your food, whether you're sacrificing them for life, not likely, sacrificing them being attacked, likely, sacrificing them to other effects, you get tapped treasures.
Nice.
You're turning them into mana.
Yeah, directly adding mana to your pool, even though you're losing it from the Cabbage Merchant's ability.
Yeah.
Trail of Crumbs is also a really good add in this deck. It says whenever you sacrifice a food, you may pay 1. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library, you reveal permanent card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So now you're cashing foods in for cards, as long as you have that mana up to pay for the Trail of Crumbs trigger.
Yep, and then Fangren Marauder is a great, I think this is a pauper staple in some decks, but whenever an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you gain 5 life, or may gain 5 life.
You're like, sure, okay, I guess you're going to hit me for 2. I'm going to sacrifice a food and gain 5.
Yeah.
Not to mention
crazy.
if your opponent's cracked treasures or anything, it's going to gain you a lot of life.
And if you just regularly sack food for life, you gain 8. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So how do you protect yourself in case people want to come after your sweet food stash?
Yeah, if you're coming for my cabbages, I've got an answer for you. Hornet Nest is a card I always look to put into a deck. This is
so fun.
Whenever this creature is dealt damage, create that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens with flying and death touch. It's a 0/2, so it's probably going to die. But if you get 3 or 4 bees out of this thing, it's going to be very difficult for your opponents to come for your cabbages.
Yeah, people often just don't swing at you, or if they have a bunch of creatures, they'll be like, fine, I'll just have this 1/1 ping off your Hornet Nest, and you're like, sweet, I'll take a free 1/1.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't do that. At least send a 2/2.
Yeah.
One that I was laughing about was the Cabbage Merchant summoning the Final Fantasy boss, Ancient Adamantus, to protect his cabbages.
Yeah, it could kind of be the turtle with the tree on its back in the
it's the
story.
lion turtle. It's 5 green for a creature, turtle with vigilance and ward 3. Damage isn't removed from this creature during cleanup steps. All damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control is dealt to this creature instead. When this creature dies, exile it and create 10 tapped treasure tokens. Not to mention, it's an 8/20.
Yeah.
So now you're going to protect all of your food because you're redirecting that damage at the Ancient Adamantus instead.
Yeah, that's cool. I also like how you put Tower Winder in this deck. This is just a cheeky little creature that when it enters, you basically find the command tower and put it into your hand. But it's just a 1/1 with Reach and Death Touch for 1 green. So
really easy to put into play. It draws you a land, and when you have a Tower Winder, people are going to look elsewhere.
yeah, that's great.
I also ran a couple of fogs in this deck. I think that they're nice to be able to protect your board in case you're like just trying to untap for one more. So I was running stuff like Obscuring Haze, of course, but Tangle is my favorite fog to cast. It's prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. Each attacking creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step.
Hilarious.
You came for the cabbages, you will sleep.
No one saw that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tangle is definitely a total gotcha card.
Just an absolute backbreaking card.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of ways to make use of the fact that you're pumping out a bunch of food tokens every single turn cycle. Queen Chew Gourmet allows you to make a frog as well. A Stride Hanger Automaton helps you make additional 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying instead. And then Academy Manufacturer is the big one. You're going to get a treasure and a clue every single time you make a food. And there's also obviously lots of ways that this deck makes treasures. So this thing is just pumping out artifacts for you.
Gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
I will say this deck is not very good at actually killing people. It can do a lot of things, but it is converting all of that into winning the game.
Yeah, you have to
pretty
close it
difficult. So I found a couple of threats that I put in my deck. The first one is a Doctor Who card. It's Displaced Dinosaurs.
Yay.
As a historic permanent enters the battlefield under your control, it becomes a 7/7 dinosaur creature token in addition to its other types. Dino Nuggies.
Dino Nuggies, yeah.
Every time your opponent casts a non-creature spell, you make a Dino Nuggie. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, and 7 mana is not so scary when you have the ability to tap your foods for mana as
Right.
well. That is a very important part of the card. Rampage of the Clans is an instant, destroys all artifacts and enchantments, and then you get to make a 3/3 centaur creature token for each permanent destroyed this way. Or each controller does that for each one. So you get a ton more, hopefully, than everyone else.
That's the plan. Wildwood Mentor is actually one that I missed while I was deck building, but when I was doing more research, I think it's pretty good. It says whenever a token enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Wildwood Mentor. Whenever it attacks, another attacking creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is Wildwood Mentor's power. So this is going to get a lot of counters on it. It's not going to be super scary until it's got 5 or 6 counters on it, and now you've got 2 attackers that can swing in for some amount of damage.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then because you're making a lot of artifacts, if you make Karnstructs with either Karn Sign of Urza or an Urza's Saga, then your food are just going to buff these things up. And oftentimes, I've seen a lot of games end because you just have 2 15/15 Karnstructs.
Yeah.
Yeah, happens quite often, actually.
All right, we are going to move on to Aang at the Crossroads.
Yay!
This is one of the many Aangs.
Yeah, Aang's got a lot of cards here. This is the Bant Aang, and it's got 2 sides to it, so it will transform. You can't cast it on its backside, sort of like the Spider-Man cards, but it's a pretty powerful one. It's 2, a green, a white, and a blue for a 3/3. Legendary human avatar ally with flying. When Aang enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. It's pretty good. And then whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, transform Aang at the beginning of the next upkeep. So it could be your opponent's turn. Becomes Aang Destined Savior. It's a 4/4 flyer. Land creatures you control have vigilance at the beginning of combat on your turn. Earthbend 2.
Okay, so this is a 2-sided commander. The front and the back are not particularly related mechanically. Yeah. Obviously, this is the story of Aang unlocking his earthbending skills. But when I was looking at this, I was like, all right, what do you do with this earthbending? You only earthbending 2 a turn. And then I was like, you silly goose. This deck is about the front side. It's a blink deck.
Yeah, so Aang's going to be able to put a bunch of mana value 4 or less creatures on the battlefield. And yeah, when Aang itself also you're blinking other creatures, you do get to transform Aang if you want to.
If you'd like to, and even if it does flip over, you can Earthbend, flip it back, and reuse the front side's ETB. So you can build this very flavorfully. Of course, you can fill it with characters from Avatar. Katara the Fearless is very good in this deck. It makes the front side trigger twice.
Yep.
Aang Swift Savior has a strong ETB, is good in a blink deck. So Aang could go find his best friend, Aang. Or you could use like Monkiatsu, which says whenever another creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability, you may airbend that creature. So you could use it as a blinking engine. You could use it as a protection piece. That's certainly a direction you could go with this deck. Or you could just go more of a traditional Bant blink strategy and play cards like Reflector Mage, which a Nightmare, Solemn Simulacrum, all of these sort of powerful creatures that when you can reuse their ETBs, they become really overwhelming.
Yeah, Bant's already got a couple of really good blink commanders, so you can just look at a Rune of the Hidden Realms type deck and just see what you can do in these colors, and it's pretty good.
But here's the thing. I was looking at all of this Bant stuff and was like, oh,
easy.
It's a clone deck.
Yeah, it's a clone deck. Do you run this other card as a commander? I've seen you play it a lot.
It's similar to this.
Yeah, it's similar to it. It's definitely a pet card of yours for sure, though.
Garuda Doom of Depths is a very powerful clone commander. When it enters the battlefield, it mills 4 and it gets an even costed creature onto the battlefield.
From each player.
And I was like, okay. Well, one.
Oh, one. Sorry. But every player mills.
But everybody mills. Yeah. This looks a lot like Aang, actually, except for Garuda's 1 more mana, and Aang digs 1 more card deep.
Yeah.
It just doesn't go to the graveyard. It goes to the bottom, and you only get to look at your own deck.
Yeah.
But Garuda decks are typically have like 25 clones in them, because when Garuda enters, you can hit another clone, trigger Garuda again, mill the table out, or get a ton of Garudas.
And notably, clones are typically 4 mana value, so it's really good with Aang.
So it's really good in this deck. I think you could absolutely build it with 25-ish clones. It's many of the non-legendary ones as you can possibly play, which there's a lot of now. Spark Double, both Sakashimas.
The new Chameleon, Master of Disguise. Yeah, these are all ones that get around the legend rule, basically, so you can have both of them on the battlefield at the same time.
Not to mention there's some pretty good creatures with ETBs that can blink Aang right away and return him to the battlefield, re-trigger it, and keep her clone chain going, like Felidar Guardian, Restoration Angel, or Icewind Stalwart.
The only common. Oh, no, I guess Felidar. No, it's not common.
Yeah. So that can come in and blink him as well. Keep that chain going. The interesting thing about this is if you hit a non-legendary clone, which we will eventually, that version of the Aang will die, and all of the Aangs that you have on the battlefield will transform on the next upkeep, and when it's your turn, they're all going to Earthbend too.
Oh, that's funny. Do the clone Aangs also get the backside?
Yes.
Very cool.
That rule changed about a year ago. So they do all have the ability to transform and Earthbend.
And then you have a bunch of 2/2 lands because you're Earthbending a bunch of them. And then you can flicker them as well and have them come right back
to the front and keep going.
Yeah.
Pretty wild stuff going on with this deck.
Yeah, they don't all have to be Aangs as well. You could just have it become Sakashima become a Restoration Angel because you'd rather have more flyers or whatever it is, right? So you got a lot of options.
Yeah, this Aang flies too, though.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a 3/3, and
it's a 3/3.
Flips into a 4/4.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, so I think that is probably the most common way we'll see it built if it's not a like a flavor build.
Yeah. It's a pretty powerful card, though. Obviously, just getting a 2-for-1 on your commander is really good. We've seen how good Garuda is. We know how good, freaking Atali is. And there's just a lot of different ways you can play the Blink version of this deck. We won't go through all of them. There are really flexible Blink spells like Ephemerate and Lae'zel's Acrobatics to blink a bunch of stuff. And then you've got just all your favorite Blink creatures. Like, boy, who's not excited to play against Preston the Vanisher?
Oh, yeah. Then you get 2 Aangs, and they come in with 2 friends.
Or Brago, or Displacer Kitten. It goes deep here. These are definitely the types of decks that are a little mana hungry, so you have to make sure your ramp is really good in these types of things, because so many of these cards are 4 mana and up.
Yeah, but Aang can find them off the top of your library and put them right into play.
Yep. Yeah, so pretty good. And you want to obviously have all your Blink spells to protect your combo pieces as well. This deck goes infinite like 1,000 different ways if you wanted to.
Yeah, Blink decks often do if you put the right pieces in it. But it's a sweet version of the Blink decks. I like having a Blink payoff in the command zone.
Yeah.
And so you can load up on Blink effects in the 99.
And it could just be Aang and all his 4 mana friends from the set, or any ally creatures that because you just want to play allies or whatever.
Yeah.
So fun stuff.
All right. Up next, we're going to talk about Aang's best buddy and a perfectly good card for you to find off of the last Aang. It's Appa, Steadfast Guardian.
Yeah, this card is really sweet.
It's very powerful.
Probably going to see a lot of this played, actually.
We're going to talk about it a lot today.
Yeah, it's a good card. 4 mana for a 3/4 flash flyer. When Appa enters, airbend any number of other target non-land permanents you control. So you exile them and you can cast them when they're exiled for 2 rather than their mana costs, just 2 generic mana. And then whenever you cast a spell from exile, create a 1/1 white ally creature token.
Pretty good.
Cards like Clever Concealment and other cards that basically help protect your board, Appa gets to do that as a sweet creature, and then you get to recast those cards later on. They don't just blink and come back or get, sort of like Teferi's Protection away, but you make 1/1 allies when that happens.
Your board's even scarier after the board wipe.
Pick up your whole board and just play it all again.
I think we'll see this mostly in the 99 as board protection or even as a token generator, but I do want to talk about him as a commander because I think he's a pretty sweet artifact commander.
Yeah.
So this kind of effect, this ability to play something, pick up your whole board, and reuse all of your cast triggers or ETB abilities is very common in artifacts. It sort of looks like a paradoxical outcome type of effect, which just picks up all your artifacts, draws a bunch of cards, and lets you replay all of them for value. So I think you could do that with Appa, with either creatures or with artifacts. We're going to talk about both versions as we go through. Artifacts, I think, are particularly neat. So something like an interdimensional web watch is new from Spider-Man. This is a 4-mana artifact. When it enters, exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. Tap, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast spells from exile.
Yeah.
So this comes in, exiles 2 cards, gives you the mana to cast those cards, and then if Appa airbends this, you can recast it. You have the mana back immediately to airbend something else, and you've exiled 2 cards in the process.
Again, yeah, and more triggers off Appa's second thing.
Really powerful here.
Yeah, I really like this card a lot. I actually played it in the deck I played because I cared about casting spells from exile. But the fact that you can replay it with Appa over and over again and get a mana reduction on it the second time around is really sweet.
The One Ring!
Yay! Who would not love to airbend this out and replay it and get protection?
Every turn!
And you reset the counters on it in case you're dying from the burden counters.
Yay!
Probably not. You're probably winning from the burden counters at that point.
Archaeomancer's map is a pretty fun one. This is the 2 and a white. It enters, gets you 2 planes. It helps you cheat those planes into play. But usually it just sort of sits there on the battlefield and doesn't do anything from then on.
First,
But Appa can airbend it, and you can replay it for a single white, draw 2 planes, and keep putting planes into play.
No, you pay it for 2 still.
2!
Yeah,
Sorry, it doesn't reduce it by 2. You pay 2 generic mana.
And the nice thing is you don't actually have a time restriction on playing these cards from exile. You can play them whenever, pretty much, as long as they're airbent.
They're sort of like reverse foretold.
Yeah, exactly. They get to sit in this really safe protected zone too, so you don't have this like pressure of like, oh no, it's an exile deck, I have to play it all this next turn. I'm pretty sure you can still do it even if Appa goes away, they're still airbent. They're still totally fine to be played.
They're there.
Yeah.
The funniest one is Wedding Ring.
Yay, marry everyone at the table.
So you only need 1 wedding ring in play, but if you can play wedding ring, give away a wedding ring, use Appa to airbend the wedding ring, replay wedding ring,
give it away.
Give it away. Now everybody's married.
Yay.
That's the world Appa wants to live in.
yeah, we're all in the back of Appa yelling, yep.
Yep.
You've got your Ichor Wellsprings as well, just like good generic value as you're going through the game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of creatures as well that you can airbend that have great enter the battlefield abilities in white. Obviously, if you're playing a Felidar Guardian, like look, you can just look again to the Aang's sort of the blink lists.
Well, Felidar Guardian is particularly good in this list because you can airbend it, replay it, blink Appa again, airbend Felidar Guardian. So you can blink Appa anytime you want to re-pick up your board. Wild. I think even if you're building the artifact deck, you want to play Felidar Guardian, Restoration Angel.
Yeah, and Resto Angel has flash, so it's like, again, another way to protect Appa and then re-protect your board afterwards. Yep. So very tricky in that regard.
Always have access to being able to blink your whole board.
Yep.
But strong ETBs like Recruiter of the Guard and Aven Interrupter are very annoying cards to have access to repeatedly and make for a very powerful deck.
Yep, Charming Prince, great blink card. You can also look at the, Josh built a really powerful Elesh Norn Mommy deck that has a lot of doubling of blinking stuff. Now, the 2 mana on Appa is interesting for the airbending because you would think oh, this is great. You can airbend a really expensive card and replay it later for cheap. But over time, you're going to lose out because you have a bunch. You're trying to airbend 15 things. It's I don't have 30 mana, so I want to be able to reduce these costs. And there's a lot of ways to do it, fortunately.
Absolutely. If you're going the creature route, you can play something like Pearl Medallion, which makes your white spells cost less. It's probably not as good in the artifact build. The Alice Leveilleur.
Yeah, from Final Fantasy 6.
Yeah.
14.
It says the second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast.
Hey, that's
you
cool.
get a free thing that you can cast from airbending.
How exciting. Yeah, there's a lot of sack outlets as well. If you're going the artifact build, Astronaut's Altar is going to be able to sack creatures to give you that crucial 2 mana.
Sacks that ally that he gives you from casting stuff from exile.
Right. You're going to have so much mana.
Yep. So you sack the ally, and then you use that to cast a spell that's from airbent, and that gives you another ally, and you can cast another thing that you have airbent.
Go crazy.
Pretty nuts. KCI is not quite as good because you don't have that free creature, but yeah, it's still quite good.
Yeah, especially if you're going the artifact build, because now you can make all your artifacts cost less. Down to 0, actually, with cards like Foundry Inspector, Semblance Anvil, Cloud Key. And so now you can just do everything out, replay them all immediately, get insane amounts of value.
Yeah. Ugin the Ineffable just says any artifact you have that has been airbended is free to cast. That's gnarly.
Yeah.
For the creature decks, if you really want to focus on allies or if you want to focus on humans or something, you can lean into like an Urza's Incubator or a Herald's Horn, or just do the white cost reduction with Oketra's Monument and the Pearl Medallion.
Oh, now you're making even more creature tokens.
Now you have more creature tokens. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It definitely is a dirtily deck, so you need to make sure that you build in lots of ways that you expect to close the game out. I think Halo Fountain is a decent answer if you're leaning into the creature side of things, or you're using of those tokens that Appa's making.
Yeah, because you can pay is it 6 mana or 5 mana to
5 and tap this.
Untap 15 tapped creatures you control, you win the game. Yay!
I mean, like it's
a win con.
You can generate a lot of stuff here, and it is also a token generator that draws you cards in the meantime.
Yeah, Cathar's Crusade if you're going to go wide. Rabble Rousing type of cards where you just want to attack. Is it Rabble Rousing? No.
Rabble Rousing doubles the number of tokens you have. So if you attack with a bunch of tokens, you make
just
that many.
Even more, and just go crazy.
Porcelain Gallery, I think, is the best white overrun these days. It's 6 mana, and it gives your creatures equal to the number of creatures you control. So if you have 10 creatures, they're 10/10s.
Yeah.
If you're going into the artifact build, the payoffs are a little different. You want probably lean a little bit more high power. Stuff like Glaring Fleshraker is like an Impact Tremors in white. Echoes of Eternity helps you double up all of the colorless spells that you cast. So you get 2 of them, and they trigger twice.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Pretty gross.
Tishar, Ancestors and Apostle is a great way to just do the whole play something, get something back to your hand, replay that out with all the mana reduction values, sack them, go nuts. And then you have like your Aetherflux Reservoirs because you've cast 17 spells this turn, so you just dome someone.
It might even be a genuine Altar of the Brood deck where you're just casting a bunch of stuff repeatedly. When you cast that stuff, you get 1/1s. Like you're trying to make a ton of stuff enter the battlefield. It may actually be a decent win con in this deck.
Woo, my goodness.
Yeah.
In that case, win by milling them all out. Exciting.
Definitely want to play Gandalf the White in here as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Vidalcan Orrery, actually. You know, I always, whenever I look at commanders, I'm like, is this a Vidalcan Orrery commander? And this one kind of is.
I think it kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, because that's why Restoration Angel's so good in this deck, is because you can flicker that and cast that at instant speed. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, if you can like do that every single turn, recast your entire board, that's an absurd amount of triggers.
Yeah, and you just wait. And you have a lot of flexibility there.
Oh, yeah. So Appa's actually pretty scary as an artifact commander, which is interesting. But we have a lot of commanders that we're going to talk about in this episode, including some very powerful, cool new ones. So we shall see. But let us know in the comments which one you think is the most powerful. Because we're always curious what you guys are excited to build and what you are most scared to see across the battlefield from you.
Or which is most fun.
Lots more commanders to go. Stick around through these quick messages from our sponsors.
We're back.
This message is sponsored by RAYCON.
I can't believe it's already time to start thinking about holiday shopping again.
Start? Oh, I'm done.
What? But to do that, you would have to have some sort of magical gift that's like great for everyone.
Yes, it's that time of year again, and I always like to remind our viewers about one of my personal favorite holiday gift ideas. It's RAYCON earbuds. I got them as gifts for all my nieces and nephews, and they love them. The audio quality is top tier, but they cost just half the price of other premium brands, so even if the kids lose them, I can get them a new pair next year. Plus, with Black Friday coming up, it's a great time to get 30% off on their lightweight and comfortable new Essential open earbuds. I use mine constantly. Their open ear design lets me listen to podcasts while still being aware of my surroundings at the gym or on a walk.
These are going to be the perfect gift. Thanks, Josh.
See how good things are when you can listen to your surroundings? Like me?
Let's see if the noise-canceling ones are on sale, too.
Hey. Black Friday is around the corner. RAYCON audio products are up to 30% off site-wide. From everyday essentials to the latest releases, it's the perfect time to upgrade your sound or get ahead on gifting.
These early deals won't last long. Shop now before they're gone. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/command to get 30% off during RAYCON's Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. That's buyraycon.com/command.
Hey, remember when we first started the Command Zone?
Oh yeah, like it was yesterday. Dude, our new episode's doing totally bodacious numbers.
Radical. We gotta start thinking about merch.
Oh, I don't know, bro, Seth. All this new business stuff's already a lot to handle on our own.
Don't have a cow, man. I found the perfect tool right here on the World Wide Web. Shopify.
Yeah!
They're the experts on all that e-commerce stuff. Inventory, shipping, returns, you name it. You can build an online store no problem with their hundreds of ready-to-use templates, then get the word out fast through easy email and social media campaigns.
What's social media?
Don't worry about it. With all their helpful content tools, it's no wonder Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide, now including the Command Zone merch store.
Yeah! Man, the future's looking pretty fly. I can imagine it now. Yeah, thank goodness we had Shopify to make things easy.
Wait, what? Is this real or is this a flash forward? Like, when are we?
Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/TCZ.
Go to shopify.com/TCZ. That's shopify.com/TCZ.
Today's episode is brought to you by Fabletics.
Oh hey, it's me, Tyvar the Pummeler, just doing my thing, pummeling and stuff. I used to be a planeswalker, but I actually prefer plain old walking. And running. And fighting. Hey, I'm an active guy, which means I care about my active wear. That's why I'm a Fabletics VIP. With Fabletics, I get pieces that look and feel premium without the premium price tag. As a new VIP, I got 80% off everything. And after that, I get exclusive benefits every month, like a credit I can use towards outfits or bundles. Unless I decide I have to save money and skip a month because I'm trapped in a big evil house. Happens. Fabletics quality rules. My go-to hoodie and joggers look dope, fit great, and make me feel indestructible. I can really wear them anywhere because they're durable enough for workouts, travel, or bashing in zombie heads. Plus, Fabletics is carbon neutral and eco-friendly. And you know how much I love being green. Ask me, Fabletics is a home run.
Treat yourself to gear that looks good, feels good, and doesn't break the bank with Fabletics. Go to fabletics.com/command and sign up as a VIP and get 80% off everything. That's fabletics.com/command to sign up as a VIP and get 80% off everything. Again, that's fabletics.com/command.
You know what my favorite thing is about ARCHIDEKT? The color tags. Each card has a tab that you can use to mark collection status or whatever else you want. So when I'm building or updating a deck, I'll mark what I have, what I've ordered, and what I don't have yet. It really helps me stay organized. Plus, you can add more tags in new colors to mark anything from potential cuts to new additions. And better organization makes for better decks. So go ahead, try it out.
ARCHIDEKT is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/commandzone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/command-zone.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking about the most powerful and fun commanders from Avatar: The Last Airbender because we did include the Cabbage Merchant. So if we haven't talked about the commander you're excited about yet, keep watching. There's a lot more that we're going to cover here today. We're also doing a sweet episode that Rachel's been orchestrating where we put out full deck lists for multiple Avatar commanders and just sort of full builds if you want to get into it. So
Yeah, there's
keep
no
an eye out
precons.
for
So
that.
we were
I
like, here's 4 decks that you can build. So keep an eye out for that.
It's a tough pre-con environment because of the way that the colors work with all the different airbending style or the bending styles.
All right. Well,
Black gets left out. Kind of sad.
yeah. We haven't talked about this kind of bending yet, have we? This is the first one.
It's my favorite because it's red. It's firebending.
It's
Yay.
Avatar Roku Firebender.
Yeah, very powerful avatar.
3 red for a legendary creature human avatar. He's a 6/6. It says whenever a player attacks, add 6 red mana.
Whoa.
Until end of combat, you lose this mana as steps end. So you can keep it throughout combat like firebending.
Yep.
And then it has an activated ability that says red. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn.
Wow.
Pump attackers, pump blockers.
Yeah, by +6/+0. If someone's just swinging in with Thopters, you are going to help them kill other players really effectively.
I think this card is so fun.
Yeah, this card's nuts. Very interesting. For being the avatar Roku, it makes total sense. He's just causing flames to light up across the board.
So this is a obviously very splashy top-end commander for a red deck. It will take over the game once he hits the battlefield, as is fitting for Avatar Roku.
Yeah.
So this deck is going to force your opponents into combat. It's going to attack itself, and it is going to bend combat to its will. It's very fun.
Yeah, it makes blocks almost impossible for a lot of opponents because at any moment you can just add +6/+0 or +3 or +0 twice across two different things.
Like, okay, kill both your attacker and your blocker, and you take 5.
And everyone's like, but who doesn't want to attack and make a deal with this? And obviously you're not going to pump stuff that attacks you.
So the first thing you need to plan around is this also triggers when you attack. So you want creatures to be able to attack the turn that Avatar Roku hits the battlefield, because then you get that 6 red mana immediately back.
Yeah, pretty good.
Obviously, you can only use it in combat, but still pretty good. So stuff like Loyal Apprentice, Urabrask's Forge, Daring Piracy, all of these that just give you tokens that you can kind of throw into combat and you don't really care about it. Because if you have a 1/1 red pirate token with Menace and Haste, and suddenly it's a 7/1, you're taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, and again, you get to choose where the +3 or +0 goes right after blockers are declared. So you get a lot of flexibility here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because Firebending allows you to basically keep the mana throughout all of combat. Pretty good.
I'd probably play Skyfire Phoenix in this deck. It just says whenever you cast your commander, you return Skyfire Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it has haste.
Oh, nice.
So you could throw it away with the Thrill of Possibility in the early game, let it sit in your bin. Then when you cast Avatar Roku, you immediately have an attacker for free.
Yeah, really powerful card too is Flame Blast Dragon. When it attacks, you can pay X and a red to deal X damage to any target. So you get to stack the triggers so that the Avatar Roku thing goes off first, and you have 6 mana to just dome something for 5 right out the gate. Nuts.
Of course, your opponents probably are going to be hesitant to attack if it's giving you 6 red mana or you haven't politicked correctly.
Yeah.
So you must force them into combat. And you do want every single one of your opponents attacking because it gives you an additional 18 mana
per turn cycle.
Well, yeah, it's wild.
6 each time. Yeah. So you've got a new card like Maximum Carnage. If you ignore the art, the name is very fitting. It's a saga, 3 steps. The first one is just until your next turn, each creature attacks each combat if able and attacks a player other than you if able. So it goads the entire table pretty much.
Disrupt Decorum, of course, is the most popular of this kind of effect. One like Baloth Baratul Entertainer might be great in this deck because you don't need all of them to attack. You only need one creature to be goaded. So having an effect that says creatures your opponents control with power less than Baloth Baratul's power are goaded. He's a 2/5, but as long as everybody has a creature with 1 power, then they have to send something into combat.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Baloth is a build around by himself. I would actually look at Baloth lists and just sort of see what you're doing to force combat, and you can use a lot of that to build the Roku list as well.
But you don't necessarily have to force them to attack each other because you can pump your own blockers and stuff. So having stuff like Grand Melee that says all creatures attack each turn if able, all creatures block each turn if able, just mean that you get maximum impact on this weird, wacky board.
Yeah, people will not enjoy playing against this deck in a lot of scenarios.
I think it's fun.
It is fun though. Trove of Temptation, each opponent must attack you or a planeswalker control with at least 1 creature each combat if able, and then you're going to make basically a bunch of treasures with it, which is hilarious. They're forced to attack into you. If you have a lot of these little dinky 1/1s lying around, they'll just kill their attackers.
I love it. One I thought I saw that I really haven't read was Day of the Moon. It's 2 in a red. Choose a creature card name, then goad all creatures with a name chosen for Day of the Moon. This happens 3 times. So you can goad one opponent. It has to attack. Next turn, you can goad an additional opponent. Both of those have to attack. And by the 3rd attack, you have 3 creatures attacking.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. I really like the idea of having permanents that are in play before you cast Avatar Roku so that when Roku is here, you do have attackers going.
Yeah, it's already popping off. Bloodthirsty Blade is really funny because you goad creatures and you can attach it to creatures in opponent control. So you can just toss this thing around and make everyone go, oh no.
There's also a super powerful, super perfect 40k card called Seeker of Slaanesh.
Slaanesh.
Each opponent must attack with at least 1 creature, each combat if able.
Yeah.
That's all you need? Just a million Seeker of Slaaneshes.
Hilarious cards as well. Yeah, I mean, this is just really funny if you're doing the attack stuff, but there's other stuff you can do with that mana as well. 6 red mana is big time in. There's a lot of instants that you can cast with this mana, or you can play Vidalcan Ori in this deck as well and cast other cards. But you've got like Electro Dominance that allow you to really pump your board out. Delayed Blast Fireball, which is a huge, powerful board wipe, especially if you foretell it.
Yeah, you have the 6 mana, you can cast it at instant speed.
Yeah, Commune with Lava is one of my favorites. You get to exile until the end of your next end step, and you can play it at instant speed. Just a lot of value you can get if you're not just pumping it into the attackers.
There's a lot of different ways you can do it. So I think instants were the first thing that I looked at, but you can also play stuff like Vidalcan Orrery, or you can do morph creatures like a Chroma Angel of Fury. You can cast face down for 3 and then use the mana to flip it up into an angel in another combat.
That's incredible.
Pretty sweet, right?
Yeah, that's great.
I love that Achroma is still getting in decks in 2025.
Yeah, a new card that's really sweet. It's a card with flash called Faded Firepower. X red, flash enchantment enters with X fire counters on it. And then if a source would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus an amount of damage equal to the number of fire counters on this enchantment instead. So it's like a Torbrand for 3. Pretty much.
Pretty sweet. Blast Furnace Hellkite is a dragon you can cast at flash speed if you sack an artifact as an additional cost. And it says creatures attacking your opponents have double strike.
Yikes.
Sweet. It's 7 red, but if you sack like a 2-drop, this thing only costs 7.
Yeah.
And you can cast it at flash speed, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, nuts.
There's a lot of mana sinks that you can do as well. Staff of Domination works actually perfectly because it's 5 to tap and draw a card and 1 to untap staff. So you can do that every turn that a player attacks.
Wow, mono red Staff of Domination deck.
Kind of sick.
One
of my favorite cards is War Cadence. I have not found the deck for it yet, but this is it. It's 2 in a red. Yeah. X in a red is an activated ability that the enchantment has. This turn, creatures can't block unless their controller pays X for each blocking creature they control.
Yeah, pump once and then pay 2 in a red into this, so now they have to pay 2 for each blocker.
And they've got like a 5/2 coming at them minimally.
That's probably not going to happen.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, this is the type of card that definitely ends games really quickly. But yeah, this finally is a place for War Cadence.
This might even be a Dark Depths deck. Is that crazy?
I don't think so. 2 ice counters each turn, each attack.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, especially if you're making everyone attack. And it takes 10 activations of it to get to
10,
0?
Yeah. So it's like 6 on your opponent's turn. It's 8, including yours. It's not perfect.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really playing this until later as well.
Yeah.
Because you want to just have regular land drops.
You need mana for your commander.
But pretty funny anyway.
The other thing you can do, of course, and this is true for all the firebending commanders that we're going to talk about in this episode, is trying to save that mana. So stuff like Electro Assaulting Battery or Ashling Flame Dancer all have lines of text that say you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. So the important difference here is steps are within the combat phase, but you lose it at the end of combat. Ashling and Electro save it permanently.
Yeah, Leyline Tyrant as well.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And there's also a Braid of Fire deck probably here because you are going to be using mana in weird times that are at instant speed activations.
Yeah.
So Braid of Fire is a cumulative upkeep that adds red to your mana pool. It used to be bad with mana burn.
Now it's great.
Now it's great. You just get a bunch of extra red mana, and if you have ways to keep it around, then that means more ways to activate and do your things with your deck throughout the thing.
I love this deck.
Yeah, Avatar is hilarious. Avatar Roku is. It kind of reminds me of like how fast and powerful Go-Go is. It's just one of those mono red decks that just when it hits, the game immediately accelerates.
Oh, yeah. Up next, we're going to talk about Aang's oldest friend, Bumi, Unleashed.
Yeah, this card's pretty powerful, too.
It is. I think this is one of the more powerful ones what we're talking about today.
Yeah, 3 red and a green for a 5/4 human noble ally with trample. When Bumi enters, you earthbend 4 a land. You put 4 1/1 counters on it, becomes a 0/0 if it dies or it gets exiled, it returns to the battlefield tapped. Whenever Bumi deals combat damage to a player, untap all lands you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase, and only land creatures can attack during that combat phase.
Okay, so there's a lot to sort of take in with Bumi, but I want to mention before we get into building this around land creatures, because I do think that's going to be how most people build it. You could just have Bumi be a sort of feast and famine in the command zone.
Yeah, it's a 5/4 trampler. When it attacks and deals combat damage, boom, you're going to
untap all your lands.
Untap everything. And maybe you don't care about that extra combat.
Yeah. I mean, you could, like, you have this 4/4 that you could attack with again. You could really lean into that. But I don't think this necessarily has to be a land creature deck if you just want to be a big mana red-green deck. So keep that in mind. But I think the most popular way you're going to build this is with land creatures. So we're going to talk about that next.
Yeah, because you want to be able to use that extra combat to really kill people with it. So
absolutely. And there's a lot of cool cards that you don't get to play that often.
There are a lot of cool cards you're going to play that often. Awaken the Woods is a classic X green. You make a bunch of green forest dryad land creature tokens. They are affected by summoning sickness, so you can't tap them to turn they come down, but they are just really powerful creatures. There's just a bunch of 1/1s that you can just go super wide with. And again, you're going to get the extra mana, so you'll be able to cast stuff, play Bumi, hit someone, untap all your lands, and then cast a card like this.
Sylvan Awakening turns all of your lands into 2/2 elementals with indestructible and haste. So you get 2 combats with indestructible 2/2s, and there's lots of pump effects in this deck to make them even scarier.
Yeah, Awakening of V2 Ghazi is a card that puts 9 1/1 counters on target land you control and becomes a legendary elemental creature token with haste. So you just make a huge land that wants to attack twice. Pretty good.
And of course, you can put all the earthbending stuff that is in Avatar into this deck as well, like Toph, Hard-Headed Teacher that we've mentioned already.
Yep.
The final way that you can be doing a lot of earthbending is just blinking Bumi. He's got a powerful ETB that earthbends for 4, so you can make a new 4/4 every single turn.
Yeah, Conjurer's Closet is a way to do it. You can also play cards like Springheart and Tuco, because this is definitely a land matters deck. And so you're basically copying Bumi. The copy dies, but you get an earthbend for each time.
Yeah, seems all right.
Yeah.
This is finally a deck where you get to use all the text on Blossoming Tortoise.
Every single line of text matters, which is hilarious.
When it enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards, then return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That's the line of text we all know. But it also says activated abilities of lands you control cost 1 less to activate. Perhaps like lands that can become creatures.
Yeah, Mutavaults.
Land creatures you control get +1/+1.
Hey.
A little bit of an Anthem effect as well.
Yeah, pretty good. Earth Surge. Haven't seen this card ever. 3 and a green enchantment, and each land gets +2/+2 as long as it's a creature. That's sweet. Bumi makes a 6/6?
Yeah, gross.
That's gross.
Finally, it's a little off flavor, but it's pretty funny. It's Kozilek the Broken Reality.
Yeah.
This is the new Kozilek, so it's when you cast it, up to 2 target players each manifest cards from their hand, but the important line of text is other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2. Lands, of course, are colorless.
Yeah, so you get a sort of Anthem effect your entire battlefield, which is pretty
and some
sweet.
free manifests.
Yeah, there's also, of course, counter synergy because Bumi puts 1/1 counters on stuff. And oftentimes 4/4s are powerful, but Bumi only does this one time. So if you want those lands to get bigger or find ways to just have them go over the top, Bristly Bill, Spinesour is pretty good at doing that because, again, when you untap all the lands when Bumi hits, you can pay 3 green immediately to double the number of 1/1 creatures on each creature you control. And the landfall ability is just going to be putting a lot of 1/1 counters on creatures. Probably Bumi, actually, because a 5/4 Bumi will get blocked, seeing how dangerous his effect is.
Very powerful. So Scythekite Cub is also pretty good, not as good as Bristly Bill because it doesn't have that mana sink.
But it's a cute kitty.
But he's cute. Colonian Hydra is pretty sweet. It enters with 4 counters on it, and when it attacks, it doubles the number of +1 counters on each creature you control. So all your earthbended lands get double the amount of counters on it whenever this thing attacks.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
scary.
good. Pretty good. And then, of course, you're going to want to play some of the cards that help you get over the top. So Kodama of the West Tree gives modified creatures you control trample, and you get to find lands when you deal combat damage with modified creatures. Terra Symbiosis is like probably the best card in the deck.
So
it would just
good.
draw you 4 cards the first time you earthbound with Bumi, and then with all these other 1/1 counter synergies on them, especially if you're doubling it up with like Bristly Bill, you're going to draw tons more cards with a card like this. A lot of ways to just really get the board going and then just pump it up super hard so that when you do get that second attack, you're going to be doing some serious damage.
Finally, there is some combo potential with Bumi as long as you can turn Bumi into a land.
Yeah, kind of the Toph story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you can turn your commander into something crazy, it gets busted. So Ashaya Soul of the Wild is the only way to do it right now, but that makes all of your non-token creatures into forests. So now Bumi can attack every single combat because he's a land creature that attacks himself. So now, as long as you have somebody that you can hit somebody with
Deal
Bumi,
some combat damage and keep Bumi alive.
you can keep taking combats.
Yeah, pretty funny.
All right, we're going to move on to one of the big bads in the story.
Yeah.
Or a little bad, anyway.
And has blue, which is, I think, kind of interesting.
She's conniving.
She's conniving, yeah. It's Fire Lord Azula, a fan favorite character, absolute, just insane character.
Yeah.
Very dangerous, very scary. 1 blue, red, black for a 4/4 Grixis, human noble, legendary creature with firebending 2. So when it attacks you, add red, red, and then it lasts until the end of combat. And this is whenever you cast a spell while Fire Lord Azula is attacking, you copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Oh my God. It's
What?
really scary.
So what 2 mana spells in red could you cast that gets 2 of them? So many.
So many. So I started looking just sort of on the lower end of power level, where I was like, okay, if you cast like a Fists of Flame on this is a 2-mana instant that says draw a card until end of turn, target creature gains trample and gets +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. So assuming you haven't drawn any additional cards, you've drawn 1 for turn, one for Fists of Flame, then 2, so it gets +2, and then the next time you cast it, you draw another card and you get +3/+0. So she becomes a 9/4 with trample.
Pretty darn good.
Seems okay. And that's like a very minimal effect, right? Like,
yeah.
I was like, okay, so these pump effects are kind of crazy. What about something like bulk up?
Doubling a bulk up. So it goes from 4 to 8 to 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
Post block. So you can just slam somebody out of nowhere.
And that's, by the way, saying that you only have the mana from Firelord Azula attacking.
Yeah.
You're probably going to untap with 5 mana and then be able to cast up to 7 mana's worth of spells or whatever.
In this deck, you're definitely saving as much mana as you possibly can to cast stuff during combat.
Yeah.
And so if you have additional mana, if you have other colors, you can start casting stuff that's really busted if you copy it. So we're talking about like frantic searches and snaps that untap your lands, or even something like a big score that gives you treasures back. So you're casting spells for free in combat.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. There's tons of removal spells, your lightning bolts and the like. A braid seems really good in this scenario. I believe when you copy it, you copy the original version that you copied. So you either do 3 damage to 2 creatures or 1 creature, and then you destroy 2 artifacts. You don't get to choose one or both.
Right.
The other one each time. Sorry about that.
When you're picking your instants for this, I do think you want a ton of instants, just type instant.
Yeah.
If you're picking rummaging spells, you want stuff like Thrill of Possibility that says as an additional cost, discard a card, draw 2. Because then when you copy it, you draw 2 cards. You don't want something like Abandon Attachments, which is like a new lesson from Avatar that says you may discard a card if you do draw 2 cards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because Thrill of Possibility discards as an additional cost, so you don't have to pay it when you copy, but Abandon Attachments requires that you discard both times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Born Upon a Wind is incredible in this deck. It's a 2-mana instant that says you may cast spells this turn as though they had flash, draw a card.
Yeah.
So it's 2 mana, draw 2, and now you can cast any number of spells this turn and double them, including creatures, including artifacts, including anything.
And again, note, Azula adds red, so Born Upon the Wind, you have to have another blue untapped to do that. But then you have the extra red floating for the mana.
So this is like a little bit more of an ambitious plan, is being able to cast non-instant spells or non-flash spells.
Is this another Vedalken Orrery deck?
It kind of is.
Firebending really does lend well to Vedalken Orrery decks, by the way.
Like High Fae Trickster is incredible. You flash it in combat, you get 2 High Fae Tricksters, and now you can like cast anything.
Yeah, and they remove one, doesn't matter, you get the other one.
The big one that I wanted to mention was Tidal Barracuda.
Barracuda.
This is one of my favorite cards. It does crazy stuff to a game. And it says, any player may cast spells as though they had flash, but your opponents can't cast spells during your turn.
Yeah.
So you have a silence effect, a cone of silence around your turn, and everybody else's turns are madness. So this benefits you for a couple of reasons. You're really leaning on Azula for your plan, and you want to be able to protect your combat and do all the things that you want to do.
Yeah, killing Azula is very bad for you. Having your Azula killed before you get to go to combat,
Very, like, if you can attack with Azula, this deck is going to be busted. If you can't, it's like sort of just a Spellslinger deck.
Yeah.
But Tidal Barracuda also gives you flash during your turn, so now you can cast anything in your combat, and you know your opponents are going to mess with you.
Yeah, obviously if you're copying spells, you can copy more. There's a lot of spell slinging decks that do this. The Twinning Staff decks, you just go on EDH Rec, look up Twinning Staff, and then sort by Grixis, and boom, you've got a whole selection of cards that go really well.
Calamax is a great place to look. It's actually very similar to Calamax.
Yeah, just get rid of the green. Yeah, but Twinning Staff, if you would copy a spell 1 or more times, you instead copy it that many times, plus an additional time you can choose new targets for the copy. And then you can pay a whopping 7 mana to tap it to copy an instant or sorcery you control if you want to. You're probably not doing it for that effect.
Yeah, Errant Street Artists allows you to copy target spell you control that wasn't cast, so you can copy a copy that's on the stack, for example.
Yep.
One I wanted to mention, because this card's really fun, is Parness the Subtle Brush. It says, whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless that player pays 4 life. So you and your permanents have ward 4 life.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
And then whenever you copy a spell, up to 1 target opponent may also copy that spell. They may choose new targets for that copy. So now you can start like really throwing some messy stuff around if you want to play that kind of chaotic Azula game.
Yeah, that totally feels right up Azula's alley. She just doesn't care where the lightning goes as long as it goes.
And finally, like Calamax, there is combo potential here. Firelord Azula allows you to copy any spell that you're casting in combat. So if you put like an opt on the stack, for example, Firelord Azula will copy it. And then if you cast a reverberate targeting the opt the first time, you will make a copy of the reverberate, and that copy can now target the original reverberate, and that copy can target the original reverberate, and now you get infinite Magecraft triggers.
Yeah, so Archmage Emeritus will allow you to draw out as many cards in your deck as you want, because at a certain point you can copy the original opt again and stop the chain. Professor Onyx, whenever you cast or copy an instant sorcery, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That just pretty much will win you the game on the spot. Sedgemoor Witch allows you to make near infinite 1/1 black-green pest creature tokens.
Yep.
That gain you life, yeah.
Seems good. If you want a higher power version of Azula, or at least a more slams the door shut if you get to attack with Azula, then you would lean into a lot of these sort of 2-mana copy effects and cheap stuff that you can put on the stack to get that started.
I mean, you are already a spell slinger deck, so Archmage Emeritus is going to be in this deck anyway, most likely. So these cards are just good on their own. Onyx is 6 mana, so it's a bit tougher to pull this off. But again, once you are able to do it, you kind of win the game.
Yeah. It's a powerful card. It's going to be very feast or famine, kind of like a Kalia, where it's like if I get to attack with it, it's going to be insane. But if I don't get to attack with it, I'm really set back to square one.
Bye-bye. Well, we're speaking of Firelords. Let's talk about Zuko next. Firelord Zuko. This is the deck that I built for the upcoming Avatar The Last Airbender game nights. I, of course, had to do something with fire in the title.
Branding.
Yeah, and this is Firelord Zuko at the end of the show.
Yeah, he's friends.
Spoilers alert, because you see Aang and he's in the background. And
he's an ally.
And he says, today this war is finally over. Red, white, black for a 2/4 human noble ally with firebending X, where X is Firelord Zuko's power. So right now it's 2, similar to what Azula does, but if you buff him up, it gets even higher. And then whenever you cast a spell from exile, and whenever a permanent you control enters from exile, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Yowza. Now we're talking.
That is a huge Anthem effect, and you can have a huge firebending effect if you can get Firelord Zuko's power up.
Yeah. It's cool because if you play a land from exile, this will also trigger his ability to put a 1/1 counter on all these creatures. So obviously, one of the big things is just buffing up his power, and there are ways to do so while getting all the effects that are relevant on him. The best sword in this deck is easily Sword of Forge and Frontier.
Easily.
+2/+2, protection, red and green. And then when it deals combat damage, you exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn, and you may play an additional land this turn.
Nice.
So if it's 2 lands, you just get 2 triggers off of Firelord Zuko, but you also get Firebending 4, which is pretty sweet.
We're really focusing on cast from exile abilities that you can cast using that firebending mana. Because I think if you have a commander with firebending, you need to really angle your deck to be able to maximize using that firebending mana. Yeah. So again, Commune with Lava is a great instant that you can cast with that mana. It gives you more spells to cast from exile. March of Reckless Joy is also an instant that lets you cast 2 of the exiled spells.
Outrageous Robbery, one of my favorite new cards.
Awesome.
Yeah. But you choose an opponent and they exile the top X cards of their library, and you can look and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. So it's like Gonti, so it doesn't matter how long they're there for. You can play them at any time.
I also looked at some Cascade stuff, which is always good if you're doing cast from exile things. Bituminous Blast typically feels a little overcosted. It's 3 black-red for an instant with Cascade, and it deals 4 damage to target creature. But if you have mana that you've made from Zuko, this is a great place to put it, because it gives you a free spell.
Yeah, Wild Magic Sorcerer is going to allow you to get Cascade on the first spell you cast from exile, so that's another trigger on Firelord Zuko's second ability.
Finally, red is like pretty good at casting stuff for free if you want to lean into the chaos.
Yeah.
So stuff like Audacious Swap or Guff Rewrites History, all of these are going to have the owner of certain permanents shuffle it into their library and then cast something else for free. You get a little bit of disruption in your deck, but also get a free set of counters on all your creatures.
Yeah, could be very bad, but also very fun.
Also very fun.
Yeah, and it fits right in.
This is a token deck. It's a go wide deck, so you could absolutely use it to pop one of your smaller tokens and get a free card.
Totally.
Yeah.
Speaking of tokens, obviously Zuko's second ability gets very, very good. So Pia Nalar Console Revival, probably the best card in the deck.
Easy. I mean,
because this allows you to play lands from exile or cast spells from exile, or when you do, you get 1/1 Thopters, and so those getting 1/1 counters on them gets really nasty really fast.
Oh yeah, and Appa is back. This rewards you from casting spells from exile, and he makes tokens, so he's the whole package for Zuko.
Yeah, that card is insane in the deck. Anim Pakal, 1000th Moon, is a way to make a bunch of 1/1 gnomes, and then obviously you're going to want to put 1/1 counters on Anim Pakal to make him bigger, to make more gnomes. And he gets bigger and bigger each turn.
Yeah, counters on the gnomes, counters on Anim Pakal, make more gnomes, more counters, more gnomes.
Yeah.
Zuko's happy.
And Zuko is not a gnome, so he will trigger
That's
Anim Pakal.
true.
Yeah, don't tell him.
No, he would scream it at you. I'm not a gnome!
Rabble Rousing, again, makes an appearance here. Just an insane card. You make that many 1/1 green and white creatures and creature tokens whenever you attack with one or more creatures. And then you can obviously play the Hideaway card from it, which also counts towards the exile.
Sick.
Yeah, that card is like perfect in the deck.
You might be tempted to build around some of the +1/+1 counter stuff, and that's definitely a cool thing that you do, but you don't necessarily need to make this deck really powerful.
Yeah.
But I did want to mention a couple of these cards because you had a great idea to include this first one.
Yeah, Market Back Walker, XX for a 0/0, enters with X 1/1 counters on it. You can pay for it to put a 1/1 counter on it, but when it dies, you draw a card for each 1/1 counter on it. So you can play this for just 2 mana very early on, and it just sits there and is very non-threatening. People don't really care to remove this because you'll be able to draw cards from it. But then as your engine gets going, this starts just building up. And because this deck has you potentially playing out your hand pretty fast with Firebending, you do want ways to refill your hand, and Market Bat Walker is right up there with him.
It's also just a good mana sink for that Firebending mana. You can, if you don't have a better place to put it, you can put it in Market Back Walker and put another counter on it.
Yep.
Finally, there's a couple of cards that deal with both counters and casting from exile that I wanted to mention. Kami of Celebrations, as whenever a modified creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn.
Nice.
Great. Then whenever you cast a spell from exile, put a +1 counter on target creature you control.
Yeah, just more buffs.
Great. It's 5 mana, so it's a little bit spendier, but it's going to be really powerful on the right board. And Aranya, Heart of the Spider, is very similar. It says when you attack, put a +1 counter on target attacking creature. Probably want to put it on Zuko.
Yes.
And then whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So it's similar to Kami of Celebration.
Yeah. And of course, similar to the Fire Lord Azula deck, we should have mentioned, is you probably want to have some unblockable effects in the deck or ways to give Zuko flying or whatever it is. Ways to give your creature evasion are very important in these types of decks as well, because Zuko being a 2/4 is great, but he will get blocked.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up.
Here we go.
Another fan favorite character. It's Iroh, Grand Lotus, during his sort of supreme power.
Oh yeah, this is him. He turns against the Fire Nation and teams up with everybody.
Yeah, and he's got
all the old
Bumi.
guys.
Yeah,
all the old guys.
He's also got green in his colors, which is really exciting.
This is post-T life.
Yeah, T-mer, more like it.
Hey, he's green, he's blue, he's red, and 3 mana, 6 mana altogether for a human noble ally. He's a 5/5 with Firebending 2. During your turn, each non-lessened instant and sorcery in your graveyard has flashback. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. And during your turn, each lesson in your graveyard has flashback 1.
Yeah, so lessons were special spells that were originally introduced in Strixhaven, but a bunch of them make their way back into the game here.
Yeah, so this is a self-mill deck that uses your graveyard sort of as a second hand. You just want to fill up your graveyard with instants and sorceries so you can maximize your ability to cast them. It's worth noting you only get the ability to cast them during your turn, so it's probably not as good with like counter spells and that kind of thing.
Right.
But I wanted to focus on lessons first because this is the most powerful ability that Iroh offers. And being able to cast big, expensive lessons for just 1 mana is really good.
Yeah, flashback 1 is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Pretty crazy. 1 generic mana to cast something like Mascot Exhibition, which is a 7 mana sorcery.
You create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token, a 3/2 red and white Spirit creature token, and a 4/4 blue and red Elemental creature token.
It's a lot of things.
So all the big tokens from the Strixhaven set.
Introduction to Annihilation is just a removal spell. It's exile target non-land permanent. Its controller draws a card. For 1 mana, that is an absurd rate.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's some new ones from Avatar. We're not going to go into all of them, but this first one's really powerful.
Yeah, it's 4 and a green for Elemental Teachings. It's an instant. You search your library for up to 4 lands with different names and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those, and the chosen ones are onto the graveyard, and then the rest on the battlefield tapped.
5 mana, 2 lands to the battlefield of your choice, 2 into the bin. And this is a graveyard deck, so it's possible that you have ways to get your lands back. You are in green after all.
Yep.
And this just helps you find it's any land, right? Yeah, lands with different names.
Lands. So you can give your opponents like not a great choice. They'll still put the 2 most busted ones in their graveyard, but just getting 4 lands out of your deck 2 of the better ones onto the battlefield. So pretty good for 1
One
mana.
mana? Pretty gross. Finally, something like Waterbending Lesson is kind of perfect. It's 3 and a blue. Draw 3 cards, then discard a card unless you waterbend 2. So 1 mana to draw 3 and discard 1, or 1 mana and tapping 2 other things to just draw 3.
Yeah, pretty sweet. What about the Secret of Bloodbending?
Oh yeah, I forgot about this one.
Blue, 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 blue. Blue, 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 blue. I'm blue. Da-boo-dee-ba-doo. Okay, it's an additional cost to cast a spell. You may waterbend 10. So tapping 10 artifact or creatures to do so. It says, you control target opponent during their next combat phase. If this spell's additional cost was paid, you control that player during the next turn instead, and then you exile it. So you're okay just doing this to take someone's combat over. You
Yeah,
don't
that
have
seems
to
fine for 1 mana.
Waterbend 10 on top of it. But yeah, 1 mana because you're not going to be able to really cast this for blue, 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 typically.
I don't know. You're in green. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, Zuko's Exile is also a lesson to exile artifact, creature, or enchantment, and its controller creates a clue token. So it's very similar to Introduction to Annihilation. But
it's instant speed, but you can't cast it for its flashback ability on your opponent's turns.
Yep.
Okay, so those are all of the lessons that I would throw in there. There's a few more that you could put in if you're excited to build around the flavor of it all.
Yeah, Sokka's Haiku, please.
But the next thing that you have to do, of course, is put a bunch of stuff in your graveyard.
Yay!
So let's talk about self-milling.
Yeah, green does this very well. Mulch is a great one to reveal the top 4 cards. Put all lands, reveal this one into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You want to draw those lands because they're not as useful in the graveyard.
Yeah, and you can flashback Mulch for 2 and mill a whole bunch more, draw some more lands. That seems really good.
Yeah, because it's a non-lesson, so you can replay it. A Factor Fiction is a great one, and then you can play this again from your graveyard as well. Top 5 cards, summon to your hand, most into the graveyard. Pretty good stuff.
You can cast the stuff that goes to the graveyard anyway.
Yep, and then you will play Life from the Loam in this deck, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah, because you are able to flash this back, which is pretty good if you don't dredge it back to your hand.
I think that's fair.
But you're probably dredging it most times.
Probably. I think filling up, like you putting 3 cards in your graveyard when you have your commander on the battlefield just means that you have access to 3 more cards.
Yeah.
It is a graveyard deck even though it's teamer, so more cards in graveyard probably better than 1 in your hand.
Yeah.
Otherworldly Gaze is one of my favorites in decks like this. It's just a single blue and flashback 1 and a blue to surveil 3. So you can leave the lands on top. You can throw all of the stuff in the bin. It gives you a lot of selection.
If you want to get a little spendier, Ice Till Explorer is an insane card. It will let you play additional lands on during your turn. You can play lands from your graveyard. And then whenever a land you control enters, you mill a card. So there's a good chance you're just constantly milling, playing lands out of your graveyard and just going. But a bit spendier, obviously, this card is extremely powerful and we'll see play in a lot of different formats, I think.
Yeah. Finally, it's a Glacier Wood Siege deck. This is 1 green and a blue for an enchantment. As it enters, you choose Teamer or Sultai. The Teamer option is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, target player mills 4 cards.
Hey.
Incredible. The second option is you may play lands from your graveyard. Also incredible.
Good. Yeah.
So you just pick whichever mode that you want at the time. If you think you're set up to do a bunch of self-milling, then do that. If you need the lands, then do that.
Yep. Stillness in Motion is also like a constant upkeep milling cards for 4, and then you don't really care about the second part of that ability.
Yeah. Finally, there's a lot of cool synergies for casting stuff from your graveyard. You can make them cheaper with spells like Doc Orlock, Grizzled Genius.
Yeah, Uncle Iroh and his bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the bear from the Earth King just strikes out on his own and becomes a cowboy.
He decides to put on the cool hat.
He says spells you cast from your graveyard or exile cost 2 less to cast.
Yep. Savvy Trader is also from, is this?
Yeah, that's the commander one.
The commander one, yeah. And it says spells from anywhere other than your hand cost 1 less to cast for 3 in the green. River Kelpie, whenever a player casts a spell from a graveyard, draw a card. Pretty good. And then
or Secrets of the Dead does the same thing.
Yep.
A lot of cool stuff that you can do with Iroh. I'm hoping this card's good. It is expensive to get him into play to start casting stuff, but I don't think he's going to be like the threat number 1 that you have to remove. And it gives you a lot of card selection.
And we are going back to Strixhaven soon, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, so we're going to get more
lessons
lessons as well. So just keep an eye out. Iroh seems like one of those cards that is really fun. It's at that really great power level where people don't think it's the immediate must-kill threat like Fire Lord Azula or something might be. Right. So you get to get it on the battlefield and do some fun stuff before people realize, oh, maybe we should kill Uncle Iroh. But why would you do that? He's so cool.
Don't kill Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
All right, up next is Katara, the Fearless.
Yeah.
Allies are back, which we have talked about a little bit already, but Katara is probably the most generic ally commander. It just says, if a triggered ability of an ally you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time.
Yep.
She's only 3 mana too. She's green, white, blue for a 3/3.
Yeah, this card is sneaky powerful.
Yes.
You might think, how many allies are there? Does this really matter to double up these triggers? And it turns out, yeah, it's actually really good. And another one of those cards where you look at it and you go, I don't need to get rid of that. And then you're like, oh, I should have gotten rid of that.
You might need to.
Yeah, there's a lot of allies in this set that really do care about this ability.
So there's some flavorful ones like Hakoda or Katara. Water Tribes Hope, both of those are allies and are good to just put in the deck, but they don't get doubled up by Katara's doubled ability.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about some of them that have triggered abilities that actually get enhanced by Katara's ability.
Yeah, first up is Haru, Hidden Talent, 1 in the green for a 1/1. Whenever another ally you control enters Earthbend 1. So this is just a way to build out your sweet board state. Suki, Courageous Rescuer, 1 white for a 2/4. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. But whenever another permanent you control leaves the battlefield during your turn, you create a 1/1 white ally creature token.
Yeah.
So you can make more allies that way. These aren't that powerful compared to this next one, which is Busted. And it's the Earth King. 3 in the green for a 2/2. When it enters, you create a 4/4 green bear creature tokens. How about 2? One of them is going to go off and become Dark Grizzly because it's not flavorful to have 2 bears out. But then whenever 1 or more creatures you control with power 4 or greater attack, search your library for up to that many basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle.
Ooh.
So you make 2 4/4s. The next turn when they're able to attack, they both will trigger twice because of the Earth King, and you're going to be able to search your library for 4 lands on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Who cares if the bears die at that point?
Pretty sweet.
The turn you go Manador, Katara, Earth King, turn 3, you're swinging and ramping 4.
Yep, that seems like a pretty good curve. Finally, Appa, Steadfast Guardian is back. It's good board protection here, and whenever you cast a thing from exile, now you're going to make 2 allies.
Yeah, the first part where you airbend any number of other target number permanents, you don't really care about that triggering twice because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What about the old allies?
There's a lot of these. Magic has had allies in the past. There's sort of miscellaneous fellas.
Yep.
But there's a lot of really powerful ones. Harabaz Druid taps to add X mana of any one color to your mana pool, where X is the number of allies you control.
Yeah.
Can't double that up with Katara, but it'll be pretty good nonetheless.
You get Lore Master. You draw a card for each ally you control by tapping it. Again, just a little expensive, but you're going to have a bunch of allies in the deck. You're mostly loaded up on allies. Draw a bunch of cards.
All right, and then there's a lot of really powerful triggered abilities on allies, like Undo Cleric, that says whenever it or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain life equal to the number of allies you control.
Yes, this will go crazy really fast.
Very fast.
Kabara Evangel says whenever this or another ally enters the battlefield, you choose a color, and then allies you control gain protection from the chosen color until end of turn. This is totally a win con. You
I'm going to
play
choose
this
green and blue.
and swing. Bonk, yeah.
Turn Timber Ranger says whenever it or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, you may make a 2/2 green wolf creature token, and if you do, put a counter on this card. So make 2 wolves, put 2 counters on the ranger.
Yep, and then win cons, you've got Tajiro Warcaller, triggered ability when it or another ally enters, creatures are going to win +2/+2 until end of turn.
Gnarly.
Hooray. Let's talk about changelings, because they are also considered allies.
Oh yeah, Mass Vandal has a great triggered ability. When it enters, if you exile a card from your graveyard, and you can hit up to 2 if you control Katara's, a target artifact or an enchantment.
To exile, pretty good. Realm Walker is like your typical shapeshifter changeling that is good in any deck that cares about typal, but it doesn't double any triggers up, but it's just good.
Titan of Lityara is a big one here. It's when it enters, you say it's an ally because it enters as an ally, and when it enters or attacks, you may draw a card for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. If you do, discard a card.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful effect to double up.
Yeah, on the ETB especially is really good because you may not get to attack with it.
So this is an interesting deck. Josh built this one for game nights, and he did something pretty cool with it, because I think when a lot of us look at this deck, we're like, okay, put all the allies in. I got it.
Boring.
But
a little boring.
Josh had the idea to give allies triggered abilities using auras or equipment or other types of cards. So Herd Heirloom, for example, says tap until end of turn, target creature you control with power 4 or greater gains trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Now it draws 2 cards when it hits and gains trample.
Yeah, Bioorganic Carapace is 2 white-blue for an equipment. It enters, it attaches to a creature, and then whenever it gets +2/+2, whenever it deals combat damage to control, you draw a card for each modified creature you control. And if you're building in this modified way, pretty sweet. You're gonna draw more cards.
Fey Wild Visitor says commander creatures you own have, whenever 1 or more non-token creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying.
Yeah.
So now that triggers 2 times.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things you can do in this world to just give triggered abilities to your allies.
Pretty sweet.
Because you get so much value from Katara, you're not really missing out on the, oh no, my creature died, it got blown out, because hopefully by the time it's done its work, you've accrued more value than the single card you put on it as an aura or whatever.
Let's talk about Momo.
Yay!
He's a friendly flyer.
And an ally.
He is. For a single white. He's a legendary creature, Lemur Bat Ally. He's a 1/1 with flying. It says the first non-lemur creature spell with flying you cast during each of your turns costs 1 less to cast. Whenever another creature you control with flying enters, Momo gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
Okay, so cast a bunch of flyers, make Momo really huge, and get reduction on the first non-lemur creature you spell with flying you cast each turn. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty sick curve, right? You've got a 1 mana card that you're guaranteed to cast every game. And then on turn 2, you can definitely cast a 3 mana flyer and get going super fast. So I was looking at 3 mana flyers that you want on the battlefield as soon as possible. And Welcoming Vampire was the first one I thought
Has to be the best one.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
This is a draw engine for power 2 or less creatures entering the battlefield, which will probably be most of your deck.
Yep. For sure.
And then you do it once per turn. But this Momo, this turn 2, and then turn 3, you just go kind of crazy.
You go kind of crazy. The card is sneaky powerful. Skyhunter Strike Force is another one I was thinking about. It's 2 and a white for a 2/2 with flying and melee. As long as you control your commander, good. Other creatures you control have melee. So now you can send your flyers 1 at each player, and they all get buffed for the number of players you're attacking.
Yeah, you're going to kill people pretty fast.
Pretty fast.
What's the Yoshimaru is the other mono white card, and that's on the ground and still ends up killing players really quickly. You have just only flyers in this deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very cool thing you can do with the deck is make it a Tempest Hawk deck.
Oh, right.
Right. They totally forgot that they made
Turn
this card.
2 Tempest Hawk. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a card named Tempest Hawk and put it into your hand and shuffle, and you can have any number of Tempest Hawks in the deck.
So yeah, turn 1 Momo, turn 2 Tempest Hawk, turn 3 hit, cast another Tempest Hawk, you're off to the races. That's a lot of birds, and they're hitting and drawing more birds. It is going to be overwhelming very fast, and feels very Momo that he got into a mess and got chased by a bunch of hawks.
Yeah, or he found a way to recruit all of them and goes nuts.
This might actually be a Cartographer's Hawk deck, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, this card we were kind of excited about, but it is not that great.
It's pretty bad.
But it's not so bad here.
It's 1 and a white for a creature bird. It's a 2/1 with flying. When it deals combat damage to a player who controls more lands than you, return it to its owner's hand. If you do, you may search your library for a plains card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So you can hit, get a plains, and then recast this thing for 1. So it's nice that you can get it into play for only 1 mana. It doesn't feel like it chokes up as much of your mana.
Yeah, that's why Sinu, Keen-Eyed Protector is probably pretty good in this deck as well. It's 1 and a white for a flying vigilance 2/1. You can tap it to exile it, and you gain 2 life and scry 2, which is good to have some incremental value. And then whenever a legendary creature you control attacks and isn't blocked, if Sinu is exiled, you can put it onto the battlefield attacking.
Yeah.
So,
you can exile it every turn. You can attack with Momo, get back Sinu.
Yeah, get a lot of life, get a lot of scry, get a lot of value going.
Yeah, you can also play a lot of hate bears.
Yeah, you could.
Yep. You can have a turn 2 Archon of Emeria, which says each player can't cast more than 1 spell a turn, and non-basic lands your opponents enter the battlefield tapped. Whoopsie daisy. Oh no! You're going to be beating them to death with flyers while they are struggling to get their lands into play and their engine going.
Raidane ends up hosing so many of my decks. Snowlands entering the battlefield tap doesn't matter, but non-creature spells your opponents cast with CMC or mana value 4 or greater cost 2 more to cast.
This is great for protecting your board against board wipes.
Yeah.
Is the big thing that Raidane does, and it hits the battlefield and just starts beating.
Yeah.
The next thing that you probably do is you look at flying synergy. There's not a ton in mono white. It tends to be a white-blue thing, but there's still some powerful options here. Safaris Sky's Blade. It's a 7 mana angel. It's flying and lifelink, and other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. But you can pay white and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than pay the spell's mana cost.
You'll definitely be able to do that in this deck.
Definitely. And now you have a big flyer that protects your whole board.
Yeah. Pretty sweet. Jackdaw Savior is pretty nice because it is able to return creature cards with lesser mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield when it or another creature with flying dies. So you just get a lot of recursion. Just keep this engine going.
Steel Plume Marshal is 3 white for a bird soldier. Whenever he attacks, other attacking creatures you control with flying get +2/+2 until end of turn. So he's an anthem effect and something that you can cast ahead of curve with your commander.
Yeah, and then you included Magus of the Moat here, which is pretty hilarious.
Magus of the Moat.
Creatures without flying can't attack. If you can't play Moat, play Magus of the Moat.
Yeah, this one's a lot cheaper. So you put this thing into play, your opponents can't crack back at you, and you are free to go aggro.
That's totally the Momo move.
The Momo move. Go over the Moat.
Yeah, and of course you are attacking with a very hard to block creature, and if it's not Momo, it's going to be another one of your flyers. So play a bunch of equipment that help benefit you. Explorer Scope helps you ramp out in mono white. Pip-Boy 3000 also helps you ramp or gets 1/1 counters on Momo, which is pretty good because that if you're relying on Momo to be your win con, it's a really powerful way to do it. Glimmer Lens is really fun. It's just another way to card draw, and it comes in with a creature attached to it. Ask a Memory. Well, yeah. There's lots of different things you can do with just evasive mono white stuff.
Yeah. It's a tidy little deck. I don't think this one's super complicated, but I wanted to mention it because I do think it's a bit powerful. It's a scary little guy.
Yeah, it's also, I think, like a really great beginner deck for someone that doesn't know how to, play with all the complex colors and cares about mana bases. If you do that, you probably don't go to the Tempest Hawk route because they would have to shuffle a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's a bunch.
But it is fun to just give them a bunch of creatures and they don't have to worry so much about blockers and math, especially if they're new. And they just kind of learn, oh, cool, this is how you swing out, win the game, and just, win through those means.
Momo!
And you can do some tricksy things with white, too. You can put some flicker packages in it and stuff and all that good stuff.
All right. We haven't talked about him yet. It's Sokka, Tenacious Tactician.
Yeah, also Sokka at his most powerful.
This is 1 blue, red, and a white for a legendary creature human warrior ally with menace and prowess. Other allies you control have menace and prowess.
Whoa.
Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. Uh-oh. That sounds like a mess.
Yeah, I was going to say, now this is a deck you don't be given to a new player.
No.
It's a lot of prowess triggers you have to keep track of, and a lot of tokens as well you have to keep track of. But this is a very powerful card because you're just going to overwhelm your opponents with this amazing tactician. And he has his sword that he gets at the end of the show, which is really cool.
Yeah. So the first thing you want to do is make ally tokens. Sokka gives you the ability to make them, but if you have other ways, it's even better. Retreat to Emeria as landfall, create a 1/1 white core ally creature token. Great.
Or buff up your team +1/+1.
That works too.
Yeah, but they already will have prowess, so you probably don't care so much about that.
More guys.
More people.
Speaking of more guys, Unified Front is 3 and a white for a sorcery with Converge. Put a 1/1 white core ally creature token onto the battlefield for each color of mana spent to cast Unified Front. If it's 4 mana, make 3 guys, unless you have like an Exotic Orchard or you have something that taps for a mana of any color, then it's 4 for 4.
Yeah, Oath of Gideon is 3 mana for 2 1/1 white core ally creature tokens. Suki, who we mentioned earlier, when creatures or permanents leave the battlefield, you make 1/1 allies.
She's great in this deck because you're throwing those tokens into combat sort of willy-nilly, so she just replaces them if they die.
Yeah. And you're Jeskai, so you have access to all of the sweet Jeskai colored tricks and fun things.
Yeah.
We mentioned Seagate Loremaster earlier in Josh's ally Katara deck to draw cards.
Too.
Yeah, but there's also fun ones in red now because we have access to red.
This card's sweet. It's Tuk Tuk Scrapper. Whenever it or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, you may destroy target artifact. If that artifact is put into a graveyard this way, it deals damage to that artifact's controller equal to the number of allies you control.
Whoa.
Ow.
Yeah, hit him real thick.
So every time you cast a non-creature spell, you make an ally kill an artifact and do a ton of damage to the player.
With these other triggers, yeah. And then whenever you play allies, he just keeps hitting stuff and destroying stuff.
Yuck.
Tuk Tuk Scrapper, probably one of the better cards in the deck.
Seems busted. If there's a lot of artifacts on the board, you're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, and then if you're going wide, Kazul Warlord allows it and any other ally entering the battlefield to put a 1/1 counter on each ally creature you control. So if you're not killing them with prowess, you can just kill them with bigger creatures that just have 1/1 counters on them.
Yeah, and Resolute Blade Master is an ally that gives all of your allies double strike.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Pretty unplayable and limited, but very good here.
I will say that these are really sweet, but I wouldn't overload on non-creature or on non-token allies because this deck is going to want a lot of non-creature spells. So running all of these like 5 mana, 4 mana creatures are going to sort of mess with your curve and make your prowess a lot worse.
Yeah, you probably only want to play a couple of them, like Resolute Blade Master at the top end, and Tuk Tuk Scrapper just as convenient removal. But yeah, you don't want to go too nuts here.
Okay, let's talk about prowess because there's a lot of ways to give things prowess, or prowess.
Yeah, prowess, you are allowed to have multiple stacks of prowess on a creature with Narset, Enlightened Exile, or Bria, Riptide Rogue. Both of these say other creatures you control have prowess. Narset just says creatures you control have prowess. So if this is multiple times, then they get multiple instances of prowess. So now each spell you would cast triggers 2 times, 3 times prowess, and they get huge really fast.
Or if you put Veyron on the battlefield, they trigger twice.
Oh yeah, this is why you don't give this deck to a new player.
Sick, because it says whenever casting or copying an instant spell causes a triggered ability of a permanent to control trigger, it triggers an additional time. So it just makes all prowess.
Yeah. Jeskai Ascendancy, if you play this in the deck, you need to get ready to keep track of it, have multiple dice and ways to communicate what's happening, because you'll lose track of what's happening too with a card like this. I'm not even going to read it.
Yep. And you probably want monk tokens that are just 1/1s that have prowess. The allies are going to have menace, which is better, but being able to cast a Monastery Mentor and rebuild your board before you even get, or build your board before even Sokka comes down is going to be really good.
Yeah. So powerful. Rally the Monastery is a new one from Tarkir Dragonstorm that you get to choose modal spells. Probably going to be just making monk creatures with prowess, but you can also destroy creature power 4 or greater, or give creatures 2 creatures +2/+2 on the turn, and it costs 2 less if it's the second spell you cast this turn. So
seems pretty good.
Yeah, if you cast this and another non-creature, then it's great. It's also instant speed. You can make blockers and then cast stuff on top of that.
Card is great and limited.
Yeah, great and limited, and really just nice and convenient here to do a lot of different things with. But yeah, you're going to go crazy with non-creature spells in this deck, and all of your little 1/1s will be game-ending threats.
Let's talk about them, because you're going to need a lot. You can kind of put in whatever non-creature spells that you like if you want to go full burn spells and just run a bunch of like lightning bolt style stuff and try and take people out as fast as possible. Yeah. That's absolutely a way to go. You could go more value-based and play stuff like Faithful Mending. That's gain 2 life, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and it has flashback, so it's 2 in 1. Or you could just kill people with a Chrome as well.
Yeah, Chrome as well, or Sundering Eruption to stop cards from being able to block. Obviously, the way you win this game is just going hard and going wide. And oftentimes, you're okay losing some permanents along the way. Surge to Victory.
This card's hilarious. Awesome in this deck.
Yeah. I haven't seen this card play that much, and I thought it would show up a lot more. But
it's so fun.
Yeah, you pay 4 red to exile an instant or sorcery from your graveyard, and creatures you control get +X/+O, where X is that card's mana value. And then whenever creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, you copy the exiled card, and you can cast the copy without paying its mana cost.
Sweet.
Yeah, so
all your allies have menace.
Yeah, and they're gonna 5 of them will hit. You get to cast whatever spell it is 5 times, like a Prismari Commander or whatever. Yikes.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, prowess and menace means you're going big time in, and Surge to Victory will really let you take that game ball home.
All right, we've got one more commander we're going to talk about in this episode. Don't forget, we have another one coming down the pipeline. This is Yue, the Moon Spirit.
Yeah, it's Sokka's wife, girlfriend.
Moon, fish friend.
Yeah, fish friend. Yue, if you want to go the correct pronunciation, but in the show they say Yui.
Yeah.
So it's fine. 3 in the blue for a 3/3 legendary spirit ally with flying and vigilance, and Waterbend 5 tap. You may cast a non-creature spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. So waterbending, again, you can tap your artifacts or creatures to help, and each one pays for 1, or you just pay 5 mana tap and you put something giant on the battlefield.
Yeah, this is a big spells deck that is cheating powerful non-creature permanents or spells into play. It's probably going to cast Omniscience.
Yeah, this is an Omniscience deck for sure. Even Omniscience for 5 mana is still absurd. If you get this down to, let's say, 2 or 3 mana, then it's just crazy as well. But once Omniscience out, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Enter the Infinite is also a big card that you can play in this deck, obviously.
Works very well with Omniscience.
Yeah.
It draws your entire deck.
Yep. Aminatu's Augury, Portal to Phyrexia. There's so many cards in the sort of like the big spells matters deck that just win the game on the spot.
A reminder. This can't cast creatures.
Yeah, it can't cast creatures.
I was looking at the EDH rec page, and it's full of like Eldrazi's. And it was like, I guess if the plan is to like first get Omniscience into play and then cast Ulamog, but like that feels tough.
Yeah, you're probably more going the expropriate route with this.
I think you can sort of pick the flavor of big stuff that you put in, right? You can cast extra turn spells if you'd like. You can cast big draw spells if you'd like. You can cast steal spells or copy spells. All of those are very good to cast with her, but you get to pick whatever flavor you want to go with it.
Yeah. And of course, there are ways to kill Yui before she does any of this. So this deck has to pack protection, Spell Skite, Lightning Greaves, Counterspell, right? Yeah. You just got to make sure that you are able to untap with the ability to do this, because there aren't as many ways to give haste in these colors. And you have to waterbend and pay a 5 mana cost at the same time. So
keep in mind that like when you play cards like this, you're opponents are going to assume you have omniscience. Whether you do or you don't, they have to assume that you have the worst thing in your hand to cast. So they have to prioritize killing your commander because it means the game ends next turn. So remember that like when she hits the battlefield, you want to have some amount of protection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't play her on 4 with no mana open, unless you are Fierce Guardian shipping or whatever. But even then, multiple players will try and take her out because, again, even if you're like, no, my deck doesn't run Omniscience, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Because in the 0.0001% chance that you are lying or you just have, Portal to Phyrexia or whatever, it's still game ending for everyone else.
Yeah. But if you do untap with her and you're in that mode where you're like, okay, it's time to do the crazy thing, have ways to untap her. Maximize the fact that you have untapped with your commander. Run like Momo School at Water's Edge that untaps a legendary creature.
Dramatic Reversal, untap all your non-land permanents, get that extra mana.
Iroh of the Healing House is both ramp in this deck and also untaps UA.
Yay, how exciting. And then you can double up her ability as well. Marvin, Murderous Mimic, is really good in this deck because you can play Yui and then have Marvin immediately able to tap and do the thing. Or Go-Go, Master of Mimicry from the Final Fantasy set, allows you to copy your target activator triggered ability X times.
Seems good. This is also a great place for Peter Parker's camera.
Yeah. Let's talk about waterbending, though, because some people are like, well, don't I want to put out a bunch of tokens or smaller things so I can make the waterbending cost cheaper? And the answer is like, yeah, you could. But it's not super necessary because the play pattern is 4 mana cast UE, 5 mana user ability, win the game.
Right. So you can is the answer. You probably don't want a ton, and you definitely don't want cards that are bad otherwise. So something like a Chrome Host Seed Shark is actually pretty sweet because it's whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. So this gives you stuff to waterbend, but it also gives you threats.
Yeah.
When you cast something, you cast a Portal to Phyrexia, you get a 9/9 token in the wings. So it's good even if you don't have a ton of them and even if you don't have your commander that you can tap.
Yeah. So you can just pump out a bunch of stuff with Forensic Gadgeteer, makes a bunch of clue tokens.
Forensic Gadgeteer makes clue tokens, and the Mechanist, Aerial Artisan, says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a clue token as well.
Yeah, there you go.
And it makes your clues into constructs.
Yeah, so this card, obviously very powerful, but it is pretty linear in what it does, and if people don't assume you have Omniscience, then it's going to be, I don't know, it's like, people just have to assume you're going to do the thing. So it's Expropriate, Omniscience, Ominous Augury. Those cards all basically close the game out the moment they hit the board.
They are going to picture the worst.
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah. But it's mono blue, right? Like there are Memnarch decks that pump out 20 mana on turn 5 in these types of decks. So, any flavor of mono blue mana commander is going to be very powerful.
It is. All right, so those are the commanders we're going to talk about in this episode. A lot of really sweet ones, a lot of really flavorful ones. This set really hits close to home for me.
Yeah, if you're interested in which ones we think are the most powerful and which ones are our favorites, we're going to get to those in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. But first, obviously, you're going to want to pick up some of these cards. I, for sure, am going to build at least a couple of decks from Avatar.
Me too.
It's just too fun to pass up.
Fun.
It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I have such fond memories of watching it. So go to cardkingdom.com/command and make some fond memories of your own by picking up any of the new commanders, the sweet foilings or the different versions. They have the great deck builder utility on their website where you can just paste in your deck list. And again, because these UB sets have a lot of different versions, it can be a real headache oftentimes navigating a website that doesn't allow you to do it all in one place where you're opening up a billion tabs and ordering from a bunch of different vendors. So cardkingdom.com/command is a great way to forego all of that, bring some convenience to your life, and get the cards you want with great customer service, great packaging, and it gets to your doorstep in one convenient package. So cardkingdom.com/command. Support the show by using that affiliate link.
Absolutely. And once they're in your hand, you've got to keep them safe and protected. Go to ultrapro.com/command for the sleeves, deck boxes, binders, playmats, everything you need in your life to keep your growing collections safe and organized. UltraPro's the best. They've got huge sales that just happen
all the
at
time.
Random times. It feels like I'll go on there and it'll be like 40% off everything.
You're like, what? The what?
Yeah. Recently I bought the rest of the Mana 8 line that I didn't have already to complete my collection. So I've got all my monocolored decks in each of the Mana 8 sleeves. It's pretty snazzy. Plus, they've got high quality stuff and they've got all of the officially licensed Magic art, so you can check it out. If there's a set you love, go to the website, see if they still have some in stock. Again, you can support the show if you use our affiliate link at ultrapro.com/command.
Okay, what's my favorite commander from Avatar: The Last Airbender?
What is your favorite?
I built it for the show. I'm going to say Fire Lord Zuko. There's a lot of contenders here. I think maybe some of the Aangs are really interesting, but I think Fire Lord Zuko is just fun. It's pretty in your face, linear. It gets to have a sweet payoff for all the Cast from Exile effects. And I don't have a Cast from Exile deck yet.
Yeah.
I didn't want to build Pia Nalar.
Because I have a piano.
Yeah, it's good, but it's, adding in the black is really exciting, I think. So that's a deck that I built for the show. I didn't really love my build fully for what I did there. I think there's a few places I could have some more fun stuff and optimize a little bit more because it was pretty mana hungry.
You put in Hurl Through Hell, though, which is an awesome card.
Yeah. There's some really funny things you can do in that deck. I'm going to say Firelord Zuko is my favorite commander.
Cool. I've got a couple that I really like. I think I want to take a crack at building this Appa list. I think it's pretty fun, and Appa is my favorite character from the show. He's adorable, and I wish he was cuter in the card art.
I know, he's just very vicious.
Why is he in battle? He's such a cozy boy.
Yeah, they chose all the battle versions. I'm sure there is a lot of art that has him just like chilling, flying, and against the beautiful backdrops.
I want a squishy one. Anyway, I really like that Appa, and I want to try that one out. But I also really like Avatar Roku. That card is so powerful and crazy that I just want to see what happens when it hits the battlefield.
Yeah, I feel like I want to build that deck without actually building it.
Right.
Because it could be the deck that you play 3 times and go, okay, moving on. But, maybe there's a really fun pod where you give new players an Avatar Roku, a Momo.
Sounds sick, though. And you're like, all right, I'm going to give Momo +6.
Yeah.
You're dead.
You're dead. Oh, my goodness.
It's really fun.
But there's something fun there that could happen.
Yeah.
All right, most powerful commander. I think I'm going to go with Firelord Azula.
I think that's a good answer.
There's just a lot of infinite possibility there. It is super fragile.
Yes.
So maybe not the most powerful because UA also is kind of in that category.
There's a lot of really powerful ones that are also very fragile. Like I think Sokka is very powerful. It just sort of does it all.
Yeah.
But I think the one that I'm going to go with is it's Toph, the first Metalbender.
Yeah. It's good.
Artifacts are just such a powerful strategy, and having green in it is really nice, and having the ability to like be a sack outlet and a recursion engine and like protection all in one just makes this card really difficult to deal with. I think the big thing is going to be get Toph off the battlefield.
Yeah, you can.
So
yeah, Bumi is also pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Sneakily powerful, I think.
Sneaky, for sure.
Yeah, because on its face, you're like, whatever.
I love the idea of Bumi just double your mana. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, Bumi's sweet. All right, there's a lot of commanders that we didn't talk about today. Make sure you let us know which ones that you want to hear more about, or if we covered one and you thought, no way, that's not how you build it. The comment section is there for you.
Yeah. Before we go, we have to say thank you to our amazing team here at the Command Zone. Thank you to Sebastian Salazar, Karina Cruz, Gaurav Galati, Jamie Block, Jordan Pridgeon, Jake Boss, Becky Bell, Rachel Kendra, Eric Lem, Manson Lung, Josh Murphy, Evan Limburger, Sam Waldo, and of course, Josh Lee Kwai. Hope you guys are enjoying Avatar as much as we are, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Yip, yip.